And it's 10 p.m. in Accra, 12 midnight in Cape Town, South Africa, 1 a.m. in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and 6 a.m. in Shanghai, China. This is Alfred Okansin. This is News at 10. Welcome. It's coming to you live on News up here at Desawe in Accra. Let's get into the details of the stories that made headlines today. And the Special Ad Hoc Committee of Parliament investigating extortion allegations on the recently held Ghana Expatriates Business Awards has laid its report before Parliament, and it is to be debated after 48 hours. Meanwhile, the minority members on the committee have released their own report accusing the organizer of the Expatriate Business Awards, Ashim Morton, of forgery. One of the convicts who escaped serving their sentence at the Kumasi Central Prisons has been rearrested. 3 police officers who facilitated the escape of the convict have also been arrested. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has expressed gratitude to Allah after returning from his medical leave from the UK. He says good health is better and riches. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia joined the National Chief Imam Sheikh Osman Nuhu Shaributu and hundreds of Muslim faithful to observe the Friday prayers at the Central Mosque at Bose Okain here in Accra. And the Minister of Roads and Highways, Christian Mwakwata, has ordered squatters along the Tema Motorway roundabout to relocate to pave way for the construction of the Tema Motorway interchange at the roundabout. The minister said nothing must hinder the progress of the construction, hence the need to evict the squatters with urgency. And the Burundian government has begun deducting money from people's salaries in order to pay for the country's 2020 general elections. International donors have stopped sending money to the country following its disputed 2015 election, which President Pierre Nkurunziza sought and won a 3rd term despite being limited to 2. People earning above 1 million Burundian francs, that's $560 and £400, were told they would lose 1 month's salary every year. And the U.S. has levied sanctions against people and businesses in Sierra Leone, Ghana, and Lebanon over the alleged links to Hezbollah. The 6 individuals and 7 businesses affected are believed to be employed and owned by Adhan Tabaja, one of Hezbollah's most senior financiers. Let's go on to the big one tonight. One of the convicts who escaped serving their sentence at the Kumasi Central Prisons has been rearrested. 3 police officers who facilitated the escape of the convicts have also been arrested.
Prisoners Emmanuel Kwame Nyante and Frederick Asante were convicted for robbery and sentenced to 11 and 10 years with hard labor on October 12 last year. Preliminary investigations by the police identified Sergeant Che Mensah as the investigator of the case, who aided the escape of the two convicts as he failed to take them to the Kumasi Central prisons to serve their respective sentences. The investigator has admitted to the offense of aiding the escapees. He mentions Chief Inspector Kenneth Kwame Nyante and Inspector William Ama influenced him with 10,000 Ghana cedis to free the convicts. Meanwhile, the Chief Inspector and the Inspector admitted influencing the investigator with the said amount. All the three officers are currently in police custody, assisting in investigations. The other convict, Frederick Asante, who is 28 years old, is still at large.
All right, so let's want to stay a bit further on this particular story. And Adam Bona is a security analyst, and he's joined us via Skype. He's the CEO of the Securities Warehouse. Mr. Bona, good evening to you. Thank you very much for joining us on Skype this evening. This has happened at a time when the police is enjoying some sympathy because of what happened at the Kwabenya police station. But from your assessment, why is this continuing with police officers facilitating the escape of convicts? This is not the first time this is happening.
Thank you very much, and thank you. Good evening to your cherished viewers. Just like you said, it's not the first time, and it's likely not to be the last time it's going to happen. The only thing we have to probably wait for has to do with the results of the investigations. But from what has happened, I would say the investigations should not only be limited to, as it may be, these people who have been arrested. And I hear the media actually putting out there that these convicts escaped. They didn't escape, they were freed. I mean, they were freed by law enforcement officers. And so they were not they didn't escape. If you look at the criminal, procedure code is 1960 Act 30, section 135, subsection 1. I mean, I have to paraphrase. It talks about the issue of warrants. When a court of competent jurisdiction convicts a person who has committed a crime to a custodial sentence, that person, that court would have to issue a warrant to the police officer. And together, the police officer would have to convey that prisoner or that convict to any of, prison facilities with that warrant. And the prison officer would have to, with that warrant, then instruct the prison officer, this person has been convicted to maybe 10, 20 years or so. And so it is expected that the commander at that said police station would have to also be investigated. We have to actually find out whether the court actually issued a warrant when these people were convicted. If the court didn't issue, because what I know is that sometimes due to the delays in some of these, court issues, someone is convicted and the police, the police officer who is in charge, the crime officer would have to go back and get the warrant. Did they get it? It's a question we need to ask. And so it's a whole chain. And I would say that, there is a flaw in the whole criminal justice system. There's a flaw because there's a disconnect between the police stations and the courts and then the prison, the prison facility. There's a flaw.
I see. Now, you raised a point there early on about the fact that this is not the first time this is happening. Now, there are some who have ascribed the cases of policemen being involved in one criminal act or the other, instead of checking it, to the lack of intelligence in the recruitment process when these police, the police service is recruiting people. Now, could this be the case? Or people actually get into the service and pick up these criminal behaviors?
I think it's about everything you just said. Some miscreants get in there and corrupt, some of them who could have hitherto would have done good. If you look at it, we had a sergeant, and you have to move from lance corporal, you have to move from constable you move from the various levels to a sergeant before you go to inspector, chief inspector. And if you look at those who have, some of the people who have been arrested, it involves a sergeant, it involves chief inspectors. It means that these are people who should know better. These are people who have been in the police service for a while. And so, yes, recruitment, we have an issue there, but we have to also admit that the current police institution as we have must purge itself from this type of criminality. It's amazing how, we are up in arms with how police officers are treated, and then from nowhere, and this issue happened, more than a year ago. And so it tells you that we need to do a forensic audit of all cases that have been tried in all our courts. I hope that the Chief Justice would institute, such a probe, so that we probe all our, courts facilities and see, do all prisoners who have been convicted to a custodial sentence, do they end up in prisons, or some of them are left off the hook? It's amazing. I want to believe that it is possible that we have people who are walking free instead of serving, jail terms. And so I hope the Chief Justice is listening, and hopefully by Monday would institute a probe where all our courts, we have so many of them in this country. And so this could be just a tip of the iceberg. And so we need to ask the Chief Justice to do us this, investigating or, probing, instituting a probe, so that at the end of the day, we are able to know who has been confined and who has been left free.
Fantastic. Mr. Bona, thank you for your time this evening. I'm grateful. Do have a good night. Adam Bona is the Executive Director of the Security Warehouse, security analyst, joining us with his thoughts on this particular rather disturbing story. But the special ad hoc committee of Parliament investigating extortion allegations on the recently held Ghana Expatriate Awards has laid its report before Parliament, and is expected to be debated after 48 hours. Now, meanwhile, minority members on the committee have released their own report accusing organizers of the Expatriate Business Awards, Ashim Morton, of forgery.
The Millennium Excellence Foundation and the Trade and Industry Ministry have been at the center of the controversy over allegations of selling seats at an award ceremony for between $25,000 and $100,000 to some guests with the promise of allowing them sit close to the president. The Minority Chief Whip, Muntaka Mubarak, first made the extortion allegation in Parliament in December 2017. He said the fees charged at the Ghana Expatriate Business Awards, GEBA, were not approved by Parliament, adding that the money did not also reflect in the internally generated funds of the ministry's account. The Trade Ministry, in a statement, clarified it only facilitated the implementation of the initiative by the Millennium Excellence Foundation. The minority moved a motion in Parliament for a further probe into the matter, compelling the Speaker to recall MPs on recess, leading to the constitution of the committee. The presidency cleared the sector ministry of wrongdoing after the Trade Minister Alan Tremartin had responded to President Akufo-Addo's query. On January 11, 2018, the committee began its sitting. The minority MPs who filed and seconded the motion, Muntaka Mubarak and Okudzeto Ablakwa, appeared before the committee as witnesses. Both stood by the allegations. The Trades Ministry, led by the minister and his deputies, who also appeared before the committee as witnesses, affirmed they only facilitated the program. The chairman of the Millennium Excellence Foundation, Ambassador Victor Beho, leading a team of witnesses, denied expatriates were coerced to make payments with a promise of sitting close to the president at the awards. He said monies received by the foundation in connection with the awards were from voluntary sponsorship. On January 16, the expatriate businesses scheduled to appear before the committee failed to appear, and the probe was suspended indefinitely. However, on January 24, it emerged that the committee had an in-camera meeting with the expatriate businesses who revealed that they were not coerced to pay any monies to sit close to President Akufo-Addo. The last witnesses to appear before the committee was the Controller and Accountant General.
All right, so this was just a chronology of the events leading to the report being laid today, and it's going to be debated in the next 48 hours. But let's take really the Special Ad Hoc Committee of Parliament that's investigating the extortion allegations, presenting its report today, and the minority also presenting a parallel report because, in their view, their concerns were not taken in the original report.
Of the Ministry of Trade and Industry of the Ghana cedi equivalent of various sums of money in the United States of America dollars from expatriate businesses and related matters during the recently held Ghana Expatriate Business Awards in Ghana.
The report is duly presented. It is for presentation, distribution to members.
The report, which was expected on the 24th of January, has finally been laid after being postponed thrice. The report is to be debated after 48 hours in accordance with the standing orders of the House, by which time all members are supposed to have received copies. The MP for Tamale North, Al-Hassan Suini, who is on the minority side, earlier indicated that members on the committee from his side would also lay their own report.
They think that there are some issues that the people of Ghana need to know, and they don't feel satisfied with how some of those issues are captured in what should have been the committee's report. And they think it is an attempt to stifle their right to free speech and free expression as members of the minority. We do know that, like I have already indicated, that the majority will have their way, but an attempt should not be made to deny the minority their say.
The two minority members in the Cash for Seed probe have presented a dissenting report accusing the organizer of the Expatriate Business Awards, Ashim Morton, of forgery. The report, authored by James Klucha-Vigi and Dominic Ayeni, claims Mr. Morton forged documents to cover up the fact that expatriate businessmen and women paid money to sit closer to the president. The 32-page report also damned the Trades Ministry for contravening existing laws on public financial management. It also accused the ministry for engaging in major ethical violations by allowing its credibility as a public agency to be used to amass profit for a private non-profit organization which it cannot hold to public standards of accountability. But the spokesperson of the committee, Yaw Boabia Samoa, in an exclusive interview with TV3, refuted this.
It's nothing like a majority member. It's a committee's report. It's not about majority minority. The committee was not constituted on the basis of working as a majority and a minority. It's a single committee of the House. So it is a report of the committee that has been laid this work, because it is the chairman who will report to the speaker. We are not going to report to the speaker as individuals. We are not bringing individual reports. Technically, the speaker doesn't know me. The chairman is the one the speaker knows.
He insists the committee had covered extensive grounds to bring out the truth. Under the standing orders of the House, is it possible for a member or some members of a committee to dissociate themselves?
I can't tell. Report? I am not in a position to determine that. Because the standing orders don't talk about dissociating from a report. What I have told you is what the standing orders say. That reports will be processed and the chairman will lay.
The over 100-page report is likely to be debated on Tuesday.
Well, let's still stay a bit further on this. Professor Justice Nyingma Bawale is the head of Department for Public Administration and Health Services Management at University of Ghana Business School, Legon. And he joins us on the telephone. Prof, thank you for your time. Good evening to you. Now, during the committee's sittings all throughout the period, the members are taking partisan positions all throughout. Does this outcome surprise you that we have two reports?
Good evening. I think that we need to be very careful as we grow our democracy. Often when issues come up that are controversial and border on the institution of parliament, you would often hear suggestions of a bipartisan committee to investigate. Typically, a bipartisan committee means that both, parties in the House, or if you like, if it's a multi-party or a multi-partisan committee, it means that all sides of the House would have representation on this committee, and it is anticipated that they would go into the committee and work out whatever investigation it is and bring us some results. Now, when you have bipartisan committees in Parliament, and these committees begin to doubt themselves, it immediately feeds into the Ghanaian perception of the institution of Parliament. And if we know in recent times, there have been significant scandals and allegations of scandals about Parliament. And oftentimes, when people hear of a bipartisan investigation, people almost always conclude that this will not yield any good result. Now, for the institution of Parliament, I think the actors there will need to be extremely careful that they don't further erode the trust and public confidence that people have in the Parliament. Because you see, once it gets to that point where the little credibility, the little confidence that they have is eroded, there is no law, there is no act, there is no action, there is no, statement that will come from Parliament and would engage Ghanaians.
Right.
And for me, that is what I am getting concerned about, that the institution of Parliament, the little social capital it has, which is its reputation, the actors themselves are beginning to continue to erode that little confidence. And when that happens, the institution itself would begin to lose relevance.
Okay. But what will be the consequential effect of this particular move by the minority? Are you expecting that the public would be swayed by the minority's detail of the report they've put in there, or because there was a public hearing and we all followed it, it may not have a very major consequential effect in the coming days?
Well, what parliamentarians, and of course all of us, should note is that, especially when there are public, sittings and there are media reports of the stories, people make up their minds about what they should believe and what they should not believe. And so, discerning people would have listened to the stories, would have arrived at conclusions about whether or not the accusation or the allegations were true. And so, for people who believe that there is no truth in the allegation, it doesn't matter what the minority will say, they will still believe in that. The people who believe that these are true, allegations, no matter what the minority say, they will still believe in that. And that is why, for me, it's worrying that Parliament doesn't play into the psyche of the Ghanaian, that Parliament is not an institution to be trusted anymore. The parliamentarians themselves should not play into that kind of scheme. And so now we know that if there was anything that was against NDC, MPP may come out to disassociate themselves and begin to try to discredit the report that will come, and vice versa. So when that happens, why should Ghanaians, trust such an institution? And for me, that element of trust and credibility that they are struggling themselves to drag into the mud, they ought to be very careful.
Professor Justice Bawley, thank you very much for your time this evening, and do have a good night. Professor Justice Bawley is with the University of Ghana Business School Public Administration Department. So live here on News at 10. My name is Alfred. It comes back shortly. Some more news to stay. Welcome back to News at 10. Our Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has expressed gratitude to Accra after returning from his medical leave from the United Kingdom. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia joined the National Chief Imam, Sheikh Osman Nuhu Shaributu, and hundreds of Muslim faithful to observe the Friday prayers at the Central Mosque at Abose Okan here in Accra. He was in the company of Minister for Inner City and Zongo Development, Alhaji Boniface Sadiq, Minister of Information, Mustafa Hamid, Chairman of the Hajj Board, Sheikh I.C. Quay, Member of Parliament for the Offenso South Constituency, Ben Abdallah. Addressing the congregation after the prayers, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia said his recent ill health was a test from Allah.
For their prayers, and I'm happy that I have come back, inshallah, in good health, ready to continue work. When you go around, you take your health for granted. But it is when you don't feel well that you appreciate what God has actually given you. And when God gives you good health, you really have to appreciate it and look after your health. And I'm most grateful for that, because as I was just saying in Hausa, good health is better than riches.
Well, thank you very much for spending 30 minutes with us here on News at 10. On behalf of the rest of the team here on News at 10, we're grateful. My name is Alfred Okansi. Have a good night and a great weekend.